August-September issue of Cutting World Video Magazine. In this month's issue, we would like to start with a trainer who has been in the business for a long time and is one of the more colorful trainers in the sport. He has a unique reputation of being able to mark scores above the ability of his horse. He is sometimes known as Mr. Showmanship and eats, drinks, and sleeps cutting. After talking to him until 1 o'clock in the morning at a recent clinic, I really think he fits the description, born to cut. Let's watch some highlights of one of his clinics on showmanship, shot at the B-Bar B Ranch in Peekaboo, Idaho. Chubby Turner.
Each and every day, I walk out into the arena and work cutting horse. Each and every time I come to a cutting, I'm a student of this game. You have to be a student of this game in order to get better. You never, ever are satisfied. You never, ever learn everything there is to know about a cutting horse, because Buster Welch, who's probably done more and has a greater record than anyone I know of on a cutting horse, and when he's the kind of guy, he walks out there, and if he happens to put his hat on backwards that day, you'll see 25 people walking around with their hat on backwards because they feel like he's the hero. But he learns every day of his life. And so many of our young men have went to Buster and spent 2 days, and it's almost ruined them. Because that particular 2 days, he may be working his horse like so, back off in the corners where he's hiding the rear end to the cow, and they think, "Ooh, that's how he does it." I got it. One particular person in mind is a guy named Clay Johns, who was potentially one of the greatest young riders in the business, and he hasn't ever excelled to the potential that he should have. And it was the 3 days he spent at Buster's. And Buster was hubbing the horse that day because they was trying to go to them cattle, so he's taking her completely off. And this was a horse that's eat up with cow to start with. So he's soaking all this in like a sponge. Well, he goes home for the next 5 years. That's all the way he works with. And he can't understand why he can't get through 2.5 minutes. And Buster, what Greg says about Buster, Greg Wells, he said, the thing about Buster, said, what they don't realize about Daddy, said he's experimenting all the time. Said he may be doing this today and telling everybody this is the way to do it, and tomorrow we come out and he's doing exactly the opposite. And he said, well, no, yesterday. He said, forget yesterday, this is a new day. That didn't work. See, so he's continually experimenting, which is what cutting is built on. It is grown. It is, today we see more people like right now this group we've got here. This was the whole Oklahoma Cutting Horse Association back in 1965. About this many people involved in it. And here we've got a group here that's just here to learn more about it so they can go out and beat Buster Welch and Matlock Rose and Bill Freeman and all these people. And believe me, it's pretty easy to do. All you have to do is not beat yourself. That's the game they've been playing for years, and I grew up with it, and I finally realized, hey, it's not them I'm trying to beat, it's me. Don't beat myself. So that's what I'm going to try to teach you how to do here. Teach you how to be as great as Buster Welch, because you can be that good, because you continually learn, and the first thing you realize is, I need more knowledge. I've got to have more knowledge. And the person who will get the most out of this school is me. I don't even have to pay for it. You're paying me. And I'm going to get more out of it than any of you. Believe me, I always do. Usually when I come from one of these schools, it's kind of like taking a vitamin shot or something. I go home and everything gets better. My horses get better than anything else. Simply because I listen to what I tell you. And I forget it. We get carried away with things. See, like, you're probably here thinking, okay, he's going to give us the big picture. Here it comes. You know, we're going to find out how you go win this fraternity. I mean, when I leave here, he's going to tell me the magic bridle to use. He's going to tell me the magic things I do. I'm going to tell you such simple things, you're going to get bored with it. By tomorrow, most of you people, especially the more intelligent ones, are going to say, well, this guy don't know anything. He just knows left and right. I mean, my God, I come here to get the meat of the subject, see? And I keep it all simple because that's what it is. And so by telling you things, I watch you people. There'll be some people here that will do things that I can't do. I won't tell you that, but you'll perform better than I could possibly perform. And mainly because probably you don't get too deep into it. Like we don't worry about exactly how every little movement is made, or whether your big toes turn down when you make a right turn, or you've got your head cocked to one side, or you're sitting in a certain part of the saddle and you're doing the fender drag, or you're leaning, or leaning would be a big thing, believe me. But it's very simple. I'm going to keep it simple. And if I happen to get carried away, somebody just raise your hand and say, wait a minute, let's keep it simple. Because that's the way this game is played. The simpler you keep it in your mind, the easier it is on the finished product. We're going to discuss strictly showmanship. And you're going to say, well, wait a minute, I want to learn about starting my colt or training my colt. To me, the end result, the bottom line, is showing for that 2.5 minutes. Now, you may be into it in such a way that you think, well, I don't even want to show, I'm just going to play with it at home. Believe me, you may be playing with it at home, and the minute Katie walks up and says, hi, you start showing. No matter who you are, that's the hardest thing to do, to be, when you're home by yourself, you can train, you can do all these things, boy, you can be John Wayne, you know, you're back here just getting it on, somebody walks up and all of a sudden it's tension, pressure, show my horse. And so the bottom line is showing. If you can show that horse to a 70, to a 75 level or 80, whatever, you can train him. Because what I'm going to tell you about showing one is the basic steps it takes to train a horse. One thing, if you're a customer and I'm a trainer here talking to you, I'm going to kind of really put myself in a tight, because it's very easy to train a horse. You know, the hard part about training a horse is making it too difficult. You start making things difficult for the horse, difficult for yourself. You try to pass the 3rd grade and go on to the 8th grade. You try to forget college. We're going to go right into the professional ranks, see? Like these young athletes of today, they're going to get drafted out of high school. Forget the college. I'm ready to play pro ball now. Well, you can't do that. It's a series of just going to school. You know, he may be an excellent student, maybe like his Colonel's Little Pepper that just comes on and, you know, a great horse you've been reading about and stuff. Well, believe me, that boy that trained him, he had a great horse, but he didn't say, okay, I'm ready for the big leagues, because this horse has to go through a process, simple process. And that's what we do as riders. If you'll start your 2.5 minute run off real simple, with real simple objectives in mind, 75s are easy to come by. Now, it helps to have a horse that's going along with you. You know, sometimes these horses, I mean, and we'll get carried away and think, this is the world's greatest horse. And you get an obsession that you're going to show, I don't care what anybody says, I'm going to show. And sometimes your horse is like a lot of people. He's just not that talented. And if that being the case, then what I try to do when I show a horse is I try to analyze that horse enough that I know what that horse's capabilities are. Okay? Then I try to keep him out of the pitfalls he can fall into. Show him to the best of his potential. If he's a 73 horse as a max, okay? And I'm looking at it like that. In other words, he doesn't have that extra little bit of style that lets him steal the cut. And the first thing most of you people do when you go to a show is say, he didn't look that good to me. Say, well, he didn't do anything. How'd he win? J-Bar Fletch, he's a horse right now that's going down the road in the open competition. I think in the chatter he's sitting like 5th or 6th, but in all reality he's about $20 out of first place. And he win like 6 or 7 cuttings in a row. Well, a lot of times he wins and he don't do very much but just stand there and shake. That's the personality that horse has. That's the mystique this pony has. This horse doesn't have to do much. I mean, he can back fence, he can do all kinds of things and still win the cutting. The other day at the Harris Ranch, he won 5 of the 6 cuttings. My mare was crippled, by the way, so I didn't show. He won 5 of the 6 cuttings, and he split second in the 6th cutting, and he had a hot quit, 3-point penalty that the man took, and he still split second. Okay? So a lot of times people go to picking this horse apart. Well, he don't look that good. Listen, some horses can win, and they're just winners. And all that means, if I got that kind of horse, I just want to stay out of the trap. Give me a little piece of cheese and let me stay out of the trap and let those judges get carried away. I rode a horse one time called Luster's J-Bar. I mentioned it to her yesterday. She showed me the Spaldings live right down the road here that has a ranch. I rode it for a lady named Jean Spalding, who I think this was her ex-husband. And this horse could roll completely out the judges' stands, my hat brim be blowed back, and I'd get through wanting to jerk on him, but I wouldn't, and I'd walk out there and everybody's patting my back. Boy, that's a great horse. Isn't he fantastic? Them judges, 75, 76. I thought, well, maybe it's because I'm getting so close to him, they like to look at him. You see what I mean? He was a winner. All right, now my first instinct, when he'd take that first 2 or 3 steps, was take a holt and pull back, see? But I'd go ahead and keep showing, and I'd win these big checks, and everybody pat me on the back and tell me how great my horse looked. And I'm not talking about just Joe Blow out of the audience. I'm talking about Matlock Rose, and then the people that were heroes to me, they're saying, boy, that's a hell of a run. I'm like, hell of a run? I had nosebleed from from the speed, see, and tears in my eyes from the motorcycle turnarounds I'm taking. But he was so expressive in everything he'd do that he could do it wrong and look good at it, which brings me to a story. Pokey mentioned this story. It's like, that's what showmanship boils down to. You've got to make the wrong look correct, because you're showing it to a human being up here. And until we get computers that can judge this cutting, we've got that human element to work with. Now, I choose not to bitch about the judging. I choose to figure out how to be the one that the judge gives it to. You follow me? When we get down there, I mean, you want me to tell you, I'm going to tell you how to cut, how to make it work. I'm also going to tell you how to trick that judge in your favor, because it'll work. One thing is always look definite. Always look like you mean to do what you're doing. If you lose a cow, lose it like, I meant to lose him that way. Turn back around, show your horse. If you back fence, don't go, oh, because then it just, oh, something happened. See what I mean? You're sitting there with 2.5 minutes pressure on you. You've got 2.5 minutes that your brain feels like somebody's got a hammer on it going boom, boom. I know, because I've been there. I go there every time I walk down there. Every time I walk down for a 2.5 minute run, I'm just as nervous as everybody else. If I wasn't, I wouldn't be doing this. That's why I do it, that adrenaline and that charge and the feeling of that horse, and knowing, like Leo put it last night, that you had a job to do, you went and did it, and you feel good about it. Sometimes you don't even win and you feel good. I've not even placed before and felt better about myself than I do sometimes when I win. But I'm going to tell you about that winning. Part of that winning has a lot to do with the people in Hollywood. You got to act like you're winning. You got to look the part, and you got to what we call professionalism. You may be a non-pro, but you've got to come up with some professionalism. That judge has got to feel like, hey, that guy's got his stuff together. So many times, I'm telling you, you got the 2.5 minute pressure. That judge has pressure all day long. He's got to write his score down. Now, after they get into about the 15th, 20th horse, which I'd like to say that the first horse got a fair shot, but he doesn't. But right there is where you capitalize on it. You make sure you do everything mechanically correct, because you're going to get the token 2. And the token 2 might get you a check in a regular cutting. The token 2 is going to get you to the finals in a major event or an aged event. Get the token 2. All you got to do is go in there and be clean. Just don't make a big mistake. Look cool, doing what you're doing, show him you got your stuff together, and the first guy gets a token 2. Well, that's not right. If he marks 4, you should get a 4. Well, you can forget that. This is reality. 2, you might stretch it to a 3. If you have a 4 run and he really wants to get brave, he's going to rear back to the judge and say, mark him a 3. Like he's done something. About 5 horses later, the horse have a 2-point less run and mark a 4. All right, and you're going to bitch all day. Don't do you no good to bitch. Because what you want to do is make sure you get your token 2. Don't go in there and think, I'm going to have to throw dirt clods because I'm first and I'm really going to have to do some things. Don't do that. You'll go in with the wrong attitude. You'll push your horse over the brink. You'll take your 2 horse, try to make a 5 horse out of him. You'll lose your token 2, and at the end of the cutting, you'll find out a 2 placed, and you'll be so damn sick that you had the token 2 draw and couldn't get it. You see what I'm saying? So, think about the fact that that judge has pressure on him. Let it work for you. Don't tell him you had the hot quit. Don't tell him you switched cows. Don't go, oop. See? How many times you see it? Shoot, I switched. Well, I mean, the judge might have said, oh, you did? Okay. You see what I mean? Don't tell anybody, I know there's judges in here, but when you get to be a judge, you suffer from brain damage, see? You get up there, and a lot of times, they're up there with that pressure on them. You think you're nervous. They're nervous. Because they don't just have to answer to you when they mark you. They got to answer to all these other folks. It's actually not you they're worried about. Even if you're notorious for getting mad and upset and beating up on judges, it's not you they're worried about. It's all them other folks, see? They might be able to stand their own with you, but all them other folks, they can whoop everybody, see? So they're nervous, and they're going to make some big mistakes. I want them to make them in my favor if possible. I'm going to figure out a way to do it. So continually show that horse. If you lose that cow, you lose it like I meant to lose that cow. And I did it just exactly like I planned it from day one, so you give me credit for losing that cow. See what I mean? Put that pressure on him. Be John Wayne stepping around. Say, yeah, I lost it. That's good. I lost it good. I didn't lose it bad like these other folks. I didn't go, Oh, shit, I said, yeah, I lost it. See what I mean? Now, this may sound real trivial to you, and some of you probably thinking, well, I didn't come here to learn all this. This is what makes a difference in being a champion and being an also-ran. Bill Freeman gets more gifts than anybody in the world, and he makes it possible for you to give him the gifts. He opens the door up. Here I am, Bill Freeman. I'm going to cut for you the prettiest cow in here. I'm going to shape him right out in the middle. He does everything mechanically right. Then when everything goes wrong, he's got a basis to take some points away from. If you go in there and make a rough cut, and then, boy, you get it on and you hold a bad cow, well, actually, you may have caused your problems by making this rough cut. So all of a sudden, you're thinking, I was doing 75 things. Yeah, but you started off with 60 things. See? He goes in there and does the easy part, the herd work, setting it up, the way he quits the cattle, the way he presents his horse to that judge. He gets mechanically 75 mechanical things done. Then if he has a little problem or two, say he misses a cow or his horse releases it and quits a while and has to jerk his hand up and come back, points are taken away. It's easy for that judge to start off thinking big, but when he starts off thinking low, it's harder than hell to build him score up. If you get him instantly thinking 75, right off the bat, and it may be the way you wear your hat, okay? Don't wear a blue hat or a red hat or a green hat, and I don't know what kind of hat you wear now. Don't wear that, because the whole time you're down there, he ain't going to do nothing but look at your hat. And if you mess up, he's going to say, who's that cat in a green hat? See? Look professional. Look like you know what you're doing. And my perfect example of this is one time, this is my favorite story to tell, and I tell a lot of weird stories, but Don Dodge was judging a horse show. And I don't know if any of you know Don, but he's pretty well opinionated, and he doesn't care if you're who you are, whether you're worth money or not worth money, or whether you're smart or whether you're dumb or whether you know what you're doing or not. He'll tell you just like it is. He don't care who you are. Well, Matlock was having a run, and he backfenced a cow, and naturally rained a little bit because he's notorious for doing that anyway. So he marks 71. Well, here comes this other guy, and he didn't really do anything wrong, but he didn't do a whole lot to latch up. So he marks a 68. So this was before they come out with the rule that you can't talk to the judge for 30 days after an event. So he goes up and he says, excuse me, Mr. Dodge, I'm whoever Joe Blow. And he says, what do you want? Well, I mean, Dodge can be intimidating as hell. I've grown up around him. He's really helped me a lot, but all the time I'm usually talking to him like this. He says, what do you want? He says, well, do you remember my run by any chance? No, I don't. What'd you do? He said, well, I was such and such horse, and he showed him on the scorecard, and he said, oh, yeah, I remember your run. He said, well, did I do anything wrong? He looked down at that name, and he said, no, you didn't do anything wrong. Didn't have any penalty points for him or anything like that. And he said, well, Mr. Rose had a back fence and reined his horse 3 times, and he marked 71, and I marked 68. And Dodge looked at him, and he said, well, the only thing I can tell you is he looks better doing it wrong than you do doing it right. See? All right. There's a lot in what I just said. He did what I said Bill Freeman and some of these guys will do. Matlock did the professional things. He looked like he knew what he was doing. He looked like he had a plan in mind when he went down there. He set the scene up correctly. Now, he had a lot of things go wrong. But he built them an image of a 75 in the first 10 seconds of that run, where this other man was struggling and holding on and not really doing a whole lot, but he didn't have anything real wrong. But it's just 68 run content because he didn't really do a whole lot. See, he didn't do anything. He didn't establish the mechanical things to set this run up to be a big scoring run. That's what I'm going to teach you how to do, is how to become more professional in what you're doing.
We'll be back with Chubby Turner and showmanship in just a minute. If you need a horse that is a natural winner and can make you look like a real professional, then take a look at Let's Play Bingo. One of the ways to look professional is to pick a horse with good bloodlines. Listen to these. Let's Play Bingo is a 9-year-old gelding whose sire was Doc's Poco Doc by Boone Bar. Doc's Poco Doc was the 1978 reserve champion and stallion champion of the NCHA Futurity at Fort Worth. His dam was Bobby Bingo, the winner of the 1978 Pacific Coast Futurity. As a 3-year-old, Let's Play Bingo was 8th in the Reno Futurity In 1986, Bingo carried his owner, Hal Gunn of Salt Lake City, Utah, to first place in a trophy saddle in Utah's $1,000 rider class. In 1987, Bingo went to the Pacific Coast Shootout and placed third in the 10,000 non-pro and fourth in the 2,000 non-pro. While at home, he was the $2,000 non-pro reserve champion. In 1988, Hal and Let's Play Bingo finished first in the 10,000 non-pro, not only in the state of Utah, but were Area 3 champions as well. If you want a horse that can make you look like a real pro, then take a close look at Let's Play Bingo.
Now, you can call it professional, you can call it anything you want to. We call it professionalism. If a guy looks like he's got his stuff together, he looks like he knows what he's doing, he walks in there real definite, you don't walk in there reluctant. It's like the approach you take to the herd. So many people will go to the herd like they're sneaking up on it, like, oh, I don't really want to go. See? Are they going to make me go down there? I guess it's my turn. Here I go. Or they'll make comments in the judge's hearing. Oh, shoot. I won't be ready for another week. I wish I could just, you see? They'll say, are you ready? Oh, no, I'm never ready. And then he's thinking, well, hey, this guy don't have his stuff together. But if you see this guy come up, he's studying these cattle, and he looks at them, and he takes that direct approach to the herd. He can't wait to get there. Gene Suter used to be the artist at this. He'd trot to the herd. Like, I just can't wait to show you how good I am, see? He'd trot that horse to the herd. Now that is a mental picture this judge is starting to develop. Here's all these other guys, they're thinking, whoo, them cows are alligators, I don't want to go down there, they're going to eat me up. And they're reluctantly going, they're trying to just ease the cattle. Oh, please, let me just find one. You know, and they got this expression of, oh, I don't want to be here. Gene would trot down there in that instance. I can't wait to get there, see? Now, he might do a lot of fiddling around while he's down there, but he's looking like he's trying to show you his horse. He starts the picture off. You start that picture off, you come through, and you think about it. A 75 run may not have any more turnarounds in it than a 65 run, a clean 65. Clean 65 means you didn't do anything, but you might have turned around that many times. But say a 75 run starts like this. Or when I say 75, I should be saying 80, because 80 is supposed to be excellent, right? But again, we're looking at reality. If a lot of people mark you a 75, they feel like they've broken the pencil. And that isn't the way it should be. It should be, we should see a lot of 80s marked, and we don't. Of course, it took them a long time in gymnastics to mark a 10. Now everybody gets one that doesn't fall off the bar, see? But a 75 run is I mean, you're smoking some ground. That's excellent. 76, 77, you've really knocked them out. But a 75 run starts with a good clean cut right up in that middle. And I mean clean. And it may not be the cow you intended to cut, which, by the way, we're going to find out here that a lot of times picking those cattle is going to get you in trouble. But you shape that herd, and all of a sudden you're standing there driving this cow off out like what we call a buster cut. That means it's just like the seas parted, you know, and the seas parted, and there they were. There he was, standing right there. That's the kind of cut that you start building this image to this judge of a 75. You step up, when you assert yourself and cut that cow, you shape him to the middle. You drive him out there to the middle, which is very important. Middle. Somebody's talking middle last night. Get in that middle. That was you who said middle. Middle's where it's at. These outside 2/3 of the arena, we're not concerned with because we don't want to be there very often. Anytime we're there, we're just trying to figure out how to get back to this middle. We're trying to show him that we're presenting this horse to him. You make that good clean cut right out the middle, you may not have 5, 6, 8, 10 turns of that cow. And when you quit him like John Wayne would quit him. You see what I mean? You don't quit him like you're scared of him. Even if he's eating you up and blowing snot in your face. When you quit that cow, you quit him, and as you ease back, you do what Lenny Burch calls the Chubby Turner look. You take a double shot at that cow, kind of snub you over. See what I mean? You'd be surprised. Nowadays, a lot of guys are doing this, and it puts in that judge's mind, boy, he took care of that deal. He did good. See what I mean? See that assertiveness you're starting to build up now? And you sitting there and you may do this. Perfect example. This makes you look like, to the judge, like, I know what I'm doing. Now you may turn around and go, see? Oh shit, how'd I get out of that? But you don't ever let him know you're thinking that. As soon as you turn back up, you got that positive mental attitude again, and you're positive to him. All that portrays to that judge, boy, he's doing great. And you may be having hell. In 1979, Leon Harrell won the semifinals of the NCHA fraternity on a mare name, boy, I'm getting old. Brain cells are going. I'm forgetting these names. I used to know all of them. New Niner Bar, okay? Lindy Birch and Leon split the next night. They split second behind Bill Freeman. She was riding Diamond Mystery. And I'll never forget that night in the finals. I mean, he looked pretty good in the semifinals. The night of the finals, it was a disaster. But the only people that knew it was a disaster was Leon, myself, and Wayne Pooley. We were getting him out. You should have heard the conversation we were having. He goes, if I had my film with you, I could show you. And you'd watch some film like, hey, he's really doing good. And then when I pointed these things out to you, you'd see what I'm talking about. This was before the hot quit rule got to being such a big deal, which now I don't even know what a hot quit is. So I just quit them where I know they're 100% legal. See, because if I tell you what the hot quit rule is now, by next Saturday afternoon, it's going to be changed again anyway. So, but if you quit the way I'm going to teach you to quit out here, you won't ever have to worry about a hot quit. And you'll have 75 quits instead of questionable 60 quits, see. But Leon, he goes in for the finals, and here he comes on the New Niner Bar. Now, she was a wild, goofy thing anyway, but the only ones who knew that was Leon, myself, and Wayne. We're in her. Here comes Leon, and I remember this mare was on the peck about something. She wasn't paying any attention to him riding her. She wasn't paying any attention to the bridle. She wasn't paying any attention to anything. They called his name. He starts to ride to the herd. And as he's riding the herd, it just shows on film if I had it. This mare, her eyes bug out. She gets up here like this, and she's climbing to the herd. And he's going, and everybody knows Leon. He's known as Mr. Icewater. But I'm telling you, he's the most nervous showman you've ever seen in your life. More so than any of you. Every time he walks down there, even though he's won everything he's won, that guy is a basket case. But he's learned how to make that work for him, that adrenaline work for him. So he's riding to the herd, and this horse is climbing and carrying him to them cattle, and he's going, and I could see he beginning to kind of sweat a little bit. And I'm thinking, boy, look at that goofy son of a bitch. She's going to run down and run through these cattle. Here she comes. And he starts through the cattle, and he's going, oh, shit. And I said, I see it, I tell you, I see it. He starts through the cattle. He starts coming out. She don't even see him. She's just climbing up over the top of him. Pretty soon, he's setting this thing up, but I mean, he can't even control his horse. Pretty soon, one of these cows just kind of steps off out there. And he immediately drops his hand, bugs his eyes out, and here we go. And the race was on. And he's able to keep this horse somehow or another in front of this cow. And she's doing some wild, crazy antics, and she is loose. She's a loose horse in the arena. Pretty soon, she's really putting the pressure on him on this side. But he just keeps, when you see him from the front, he just, boy, he's sitting there like John Wayne, like I got my stuff together. She's taking him to the cow, Finally, about the fourth pass he makes going to his left, it don't make any difference what the cow does, whether the quit's going to be legal, illegal, or what, Leon is getting off. He's had enough. Pulls up. By the way, the quit was hot, but the crowd's going crazy and they're screaming. He pulls up and he takes a little double take at that cow, and he turns around and he says, oh, shit. That's exactly what he said. He come over and said, what am I going to do now? And I said, the only thing you can do is keep showing. I said, maybe you're tricking them. Well, you can't be tricking them. You know, that's what he's saying behind. And as he turns around, he's saying all this to me. Then he turns around and and here he comes. He makes his second cut. His horse running away with him. Totally running away with him. And he's able to sit right there and say, I'm okay. Everything's cool. I got my stuff together. He quits that cow. He goes back, and there ain't no way you could take a hot shot and pry this man out of the herd. He ain't coming for no third cow. He is not coming. He quits and he rides out, and I rode by Wayne. And I said, boy, that's a shame. As good as that mare was last night and her to be this terrible. He said, isn't that something? And golly, Leon's such a good guy, blah, blah, and we're talking. We ride out, and we come around by, I remember it well, it was Mike Marion, Belenfant, and Reeder, and Greg Welch, and I don't know who all was sitting here on the ground studying these cattle. And I come over and I said, God, I said, the mare was a Pitts, huh? What do you mean? He's winning the cutting. I'll never forget Mike. And now Mike Marion to me is the world's greatest showman. He's not the greatest rider, but he's the greatest showman. And I said, well, you gotta be crazy, Mike. I said, that mare was running off. I said, and you see all that? Boy, he was having a terrible time. Oh, you're crazy. This mare's winning the cutting. I mean, that's a hell of a run. I'm thinking, well, he must have been watching a different cutting than I was. This guy's in trouble. I go back to Leon, I said, what do you think? And it took him a long time to put this score up, see? He says, oh, God. He said, how embarrassing can it get? I mean, this is terrible. All of a sudden, 219.5. He said, yeah, I'm bad. I'm good. Everyone in there is applauding, cheering, and everything. The only people who knew this guy was in trouble was myself, Wayne Pooley, and Leon. We could not believe it. And to this day, It's the biggest joke we tell around this deal, and Leon always grins about it. But Leon always kept the pressure on the judges. He showed them, I'm okay. Even though he was having a terrible time, he never showed it to the front. Now backstage, he let us know he was in some serious pain, and he needed some of this whiskey you're talking about. But he showed and put the pressure on the judge. He was doing it wrong, but he looked better doing it wrong than all those other people did doing it right. Meaning that he set the scene up. He always showed like he was in great shape. He put the pressure on the judge, which is what I want you to do. I want you to learn how to put that pressure on the judge. And many of you are going to find out you're not doing near as bad as you think you are. When you're having that run, you'll find out 75 runs, 76 runs. When you come out of there, you're always wondering, is it going to be 65 or 75? And you're coming out and you're thinking, well, how did I do? And it's called 75. It's good. It's good. That's what I thought it'd be. And 65, then you say, where's that hole that I can crawl in and I disappear immediately, you know? Would it be nice if I had a trap door down there and when we mess up we could just exit? You know? You're thinking you're the only one that does that way? How many times have you seen some of these top professionals and they'll mess up a little bit, pretty soon they're going, and they ride out like this, like, I hope nobody sees me. You know, am I invisible? Can anybody tell that I messed up? Well, you know, you're going to mess up. That's all there is to it. You're not going to be as great as me and be able to go down there every time and not mess up. I mess up all the time, and I'm just as embarrassed as everybody else. But the thing is, costing you about wrecks a little bit. You know, when you have a bad run, terrible run, embarrassing run. We were talking last night, my horse, when it releases and leaves and it doesn't want to play the game anymore, and you know, I've even seen people tear fences down and do all kinds of things. And you think, everybody in here is going, shamey, shamey, shamey. See? You're so bad. They're not. They're getting popcorn. See? They're not interested in the runs that don't do good. You can come out and say, take a 30-minute break. Say, did you see my run? No, I missed it. You go, whew, thank God. See? We as people, we do not, after a man messes up, we quit watching. It's when he's burning the ground up, when he's doing the good things that we watch. You see what I mean? If you're really having a heck of a run, then's when you won't get nervous everybody's watching me, because they're watching you then. If you're putting it on, that's when you can think all eyes are upon me. If you're messing up, yourself, maybe your spouse, maybe your good friend, maybe your trainer, maybe if you're a trainer, it might be the non-pros around there saying, well, you don't do it so good. But it won't be everyone like you first think. So try to salvage something out of it and learn something from what you're doing.
We'd like to thank Chubby Turner for letting us use the footage shot at his clinic at the B-Bar B Ranch in Peekaboo, Idaho. It was a power-packed clinic that left all the participants truly excited about the sport of cutting. Now let's go to...